Hello and welcome back to the Uneducated Employee channel. Hope you are all doing very well. This is a different type of video where I'm going to be covering traveling, going on holiday. I'm going to be talking about my tips to help you save money in 2024 when it comes to going overseas. No matter where you're going, I will be able to help you save some money. So let's just get straight into it. I've got a lot of tips to get into. The first tip to help you save money in 2024 is probably common sense and is something that you will probably be saying, well, that is obvious. But to a lot of people, it's not, and that is plan ahead. And a good general rule of thumb is to plan your holiday 3 months in advance. I think 3 months gives you enough time to get everything you need sorted, ready for when you go. You'd start off with flights, hotels, then move on to activities, and then move on to stuff like travel insurance, anything that you need whilst you're over there, essentially. So plan ahead. Don't leave it until the last 2 or 3 weeks before you go in to book a hotel. You'd be surprised at the amount of people that leave it that late, or leave it until the last couple of days to book activities, or they may even leave booking activities until they get to the destination. And what you have to realise is these activities will have a limited number of spots, and if it's a popular city or popular place, no matter where you're going, the activities will most likely be sold out on the day you get there. And if you do start by planning ahead, you can actually try and get yourself a better deal on flights, for example. Let's say you start planning at the 3 month mark in terms of when you're planning on going. You may be able to set up a flight tracker price, for example, which I'm going to get onto on another point later on in this video. My second tip is be flexible. When I say be flexible, you want to be flexible with the destination you're going, how you get into your destination, and when you go into your destination. For example, for me, I usually have 3 different options in terms of destinations that I would like to go to. So let's just say I want to go to Barcelona, I want to go to Milan, I want to go to Paris. I would look at those 3 destinations and look for the cheapest month to travel to those destinations. I'd also look at different airports to fly from to get to those different destinations. Try and be flexible with how you're getting there and what places you're going and when you're going. Because, for example, Paris, as an example, may end up being really expensive in March, and it may actually end up being cheaper to go Paris in May. So when you play around with those sort of considerations, you will be surprised at the amount of money you can actually save. Instead of pigeonholing yourself into specifically going to a place in a specific month at a specific time, be flexible. And if you save that money, and let's just say it ends up being £100, that £100 is spending money for when you get there. The next tip is flights. How to save money on flights. Flights and hotels are probably going to be your 2 biggest expenses when booking or traveling or whatever it is you're doing in 2024 before actually getting there. I book flights before anything else. That's the first thing I look at. As I mentioned in my previous tip, I'm trying to find the cheapest flights to the cheapest destinations at the cheapest time to go from the cheapest possible airport. So flights for me, the biggest recommendation I have to save money is use a flight comparison tracker tool, resource, whatever you want to call it. There's quite a few options. I think the most popular options that you've probably heard of are Skyscanner, Kayak, and Google Flights. Personally, I use Skyscanner. Skyscanner has not let me down in terms of finding reliable, decent, cheap flights with different types of airline providers. A little tip that I would say for Skyscanner is when you are booking a flight through Skyscanner, I would book directly with the airline provider. You'll see when you go to choose the flight that it will actually end up giving you a long list of different websites that have found the flights that you can book through, like trip.com, I think is one, or whatever. I personally would scroll down. Let's say I'm flying with Ryanair, I will find the Ryanair airline provider. I'll click that link and that's how I book my flight, just because I feel more comfortable booking directly with the airline. You don't have to, it's entirely up to you. It just gives me peace of mind and allows me to sleep at night. On Google Flights, and I'm pretty sure you can do this on Kayak and Skyscanner, you can actually track the price alerts as well for flights. That is something that I'd probably use if you're planning a trip long haul. Let's say you're planning like 6-12 months in advance. You want to track those flights over a few month period. Generally, as soon as you found the cheapest destination you want to go to at a particular time, I'd instantly just book those flights. The flight's the first thing you book before anything else. Second recommendation, I actually book flights and hotel on the same day. My final little tip in terms of saving money with flights as well is when using a tool like Skyscanner, you can really manipulate the filters and the functionality on Skyscanner to get a even better, cheaper price. If you select the whole month when browsing through Skyscanner for flights, it will give you the breakdown of flight prices that are available on each given day. So I'll put a little screenshot of that up in the video, so hopefully that sort of makes sense. I'm going to do a more in-depth video that covers my process in terms of start to finish when booking a holiday. But that's a very general, broad overview on flights. So you've booked your flights, now it's time to book your hotel. As I said, flights, hotel on the same day. It's peace of mind, get it out of the way. They're the two biggest expenses that you're going to be having before you get to your destination. Just get them sorted. Once you've booked that flight, you've got to find somewhere to stay. There are a few big names that you could probably use for hotels that I'd recommend, and because they have pretty good reward schemes, I recommend them. First is Booking.com, second is Expedia, and third is Hotels.com. All three of them offer different variations of like a reward scheme. So when you book a night or a holiday with them, whatever it is, you will get like points or rewards or whatever. I personally use Booking.com. Booking.com has something called the Genius Reward Scheme. So the more hotels and stays that you book with Booking.com, I think it goes Genius Level 1, Genius Level 2, Genius Level 3. And as you get more and more of those stays and you go up those levels, you will get more discounts, you will get more benefits. So I'm currently on Genius Level 2. So when I book a stay with Booking.com, I think on certain select hotels, I will get, I think it's 10-15% off or something like that, my stay. And I will potentially get a free breakfast upgrade, for example. Once you start traveling and using a particular hotel provider, I'd just stick with them because you're going to get more benefits from using them long term. The only time that I would ever use a different provider, so let's say I stick with using Booking.com specifically, the only time I would use a different provider is if I find the hotel I want to stay at on Expedia for cheaper, for example. There are other recommendations you can have for hotels. Use Airbnb, which I used to use quite a lot a few years ago. I feel like Airbnb has sort of gone downhill a little bit. Tends to be quite expensive nowadays, but in some countries, Airbnb can be cheaper than actually using a hotel website. The second option is to book directly with the hotel. So rather than using something like Booking.com or whatever, you could go to the hotel directly and book through them. But for me, as I said, there's a very good chance you won't get the rewards. With Booking.com, for example, and it's probably the same with the others, you can get really good flexibility in terms of cancellations or refunds. So let's just say with Booking.com, you can actually find stays where you can cancel up until the last week before you go. So I would try and look for the most flexible hotel you can within a good price. They tend to charge more for those sort of listings because obviously for them they're potentially going to be losing money. But sometimes it's worth paying an extra £20-30 to have that flexibility. In case you need to cancel, you can. Obviously that's not the sort of flexibility you get with flights. With flights, once you book them, it's very unlikely you're going to get your money back unless there's some sort of drastic event that happens in your life or the airline fails, and that's what travel insurance is for. The next traveling tip I have is pack less. Please take less stuff if you want to save money. Scrap the check luggage, which is usually like 23 kg, that costs 50, 60, 70 quid, going on to potentially costing you an arm and a leg because it gets more and more expensive every year that goes by. But try and utilise your packing space a bit better. Try and find unique ways of getting your stuff to the place that you want to go. For me, for example, I've left check luggage in 2023. I refuse to take check luggage. For me now, backpack, carry on. That is the most I want to be taking on holiday. Unless obviously it's a 2-3 week journey, you're going to need that check luggage. But I think anything less than sort of 7 nights, you can get away with packing quite light. There are also efficient ways for you to pack, and these are things that I'm actually going to be doing in 2024 to make my packing even more efficient than what I already have done. Vacuum bags to help suck in those bulkier items like jumpers, jeans, cargos, coats, stuff like that. And secondly is a travel backpack. I've got the crappiest backpack known to man at the moment, and I swear to God, Next year, I'm getting myself a travel backpack with some decent little compartments, and I'm going to be getting as much into that backpack as possible. But all of those things help cut back on stuff that you'd have to put into a suitcase potentially. As I said, carry-on luggage costs an arm and a leg, so you want to try and avoid that as much as possible, especially if you're planning on doing quite a bit of traveling in 2024. Again, depending on airline provider, it could be even more expensive than what I've already mentioned. So try and take less stuff and try and take stuff that can be quite versatile. I recently went to Budapest and I actually had 2 or 3 things that I could alternate with another 2 or 3 things. They all look good, they all match. And as I said, I've been trying to go for a little bit more of a minimalist style when it comes to traveling. So definitely recommend cutting out that checked luggage because it's just costing you money, mate. And at the end of the day, you could put that money to better uses. The rest of the tips I've given in this video, this is probably one of the most important ones that, again, people overlook. They just think, bang on the suitcase for 60 quid, I absolutely need it. But do you need it, or could you cut your stuff in half and, again, save yourself some money? The final tip is the bonus tip, and that is find unique destinations. And when I say unique destinations, I don't mean go to a European country in Eastern Europe, for example, like Poland. Like, a lot of people think, oh, unique destination, I'll go to Krakow. Yes, Krakow isn't a place that a lot of people think of for a traditional holiday, but you still get a lot of people going there, which means the tourism industry is already booming. It's a popular city to go to for like stag do, stuff like that. Instead of going to Krakow, why not try a different city in Poland, like Poznan or Gdansk? Both very beautiful cities that I've heard very good things about, and are 2 cities that I'm going to be potentially visiting in the future. It doesn't even need to be Poland or a country like that that's already quite well talked about. What about a place like Georgia? Georgia is a little country that's on the border of Asia and Eastern Europe region, and it looks beautiful. It's got some great mountainous views with beautiful lakes, great culture, great people, a great real sense of community, and it's definitely a country that's on my list of places to visit. So yeah, find unique places, and if you pair that with going on a shoulder season, so let's say you go in like May or September when people don't tend to be traveling as much, I guarantee you will be saving yourself some more money, especially when you get there, because it will probably be cheaper to spend money over there compared to when you go to especially Central Europe countries, for example, like, you know, the Netherlands or France or Italy, places like that that already have a lot of people visiting anyway. So find those unique destinations and you will save money. And that wraps up this video. I hope these tips are tips that you can take into 2024 and help you save some money when it comes to going on holiday, traveling, whatever your plans are. If you have found this video useful, please hit that like button, comment, and share it with somebody that is planning on doing a bit of traveling in 2024. So thanks for watching. I've been the Uneducated Employee, and I will see you very soon.